The Straw Hats have carved out a place among some of the strongest crews across the Grand Line. They are by far and away one of the most powerful crews, to the point Luffy is now considered a Yonko. But there is something to consider, and that is that not all of the Straw Hats are created equally. Some are more powerful than others, and I think by Egghead we've kind of really figured out who the weakest one is, and it's going to be a little controversial. But the good news is there's also a fix. So, when it comes to who is the weakest, there's a lot you could use for margin there, but a lot of people are generally going to look at the weak trio, which of course is going to end up being, Usopp, Nami, and Chopper. And unfortunately, as of the Egghead arc, where we are right now, it's Nami. Unfortunately, I hate saying that because, she was like one of the original Straw Hats, she has one of the greatest potentials, but unless she's actively beating up Luffy, she just lacks general power, and that's an issue. But let's go over why. I mean, when this series started, she was the navigator, a role she still excels at. The ship would have died countless times over had she not been there. So in that regard, she's still powerful, at least in the knowledge facet. However, the Straw Hats don't usually sit out fights. They're usually a quite combat-orientated crew, and because they're a combat-orientated crew, fighting is going to break out. Now, originally, she was more of a melee combatant, using her bow staff. That wasn't a super big deal in the manga, or even the anime that much. The live-action version has hyped that up, something that I did like. But, it was there, but it wasn't a super big thing. I mean, you had Zoro and Luffy already, and then Sanji. You didn't need another close combatant in that regard. The next solution came up in the form of her climb attack, which was a great idea, giving her the ability to control the weather. It is mildly underwhelming when it first gets started. I mean, if you think about the fact that I say it controls the weather, that's not usually how it ends up being used. Most of the time, throughout most of Alabasta, all the way to, reasonably Sabaody Archipelago, she's not using it for direct offense. She's usually using it to do things like make distractions, particularly with mirage effects using the heat and cold. Her one offensive use with it is to try and use a lightning bolt, but she can't manage very high voltage with it. Because of that, she lacks the overall ability to fight with it. It wouldn't be until post time skip that she, learns all the weather science and upgrades the climb attack, which does help. She can make somewhat stronger abilities. She can now take out, goons on her own. She doesn't really need any help with that now. She can take out the lesser members of most pirate crews, which is an upgrade, but, considering this is about going into the second half of the Grand Line, that's technically something she should have already been able to do. Then it comes to the fact that she gets Zeus, which was probably her best upgrade, but then Zeus gets drained of a lot of his power. So while Zeus granted her an ability to manipulate whole islands worth of weather like Big Mom, he doesn't seem to have that power anymore. So she had a big upgrade, and then it went away. So while Zeus is still a great tool for her, he lacks, a certain punch that he used to. We do know that he can take out at least, Tobiropo level opponents with Nami behind him, which is important. I feel like that's a statement, but, Ulti had also kind of already been in a couple fights. She'd been fighting Luffy, she'd been fighting Big Mom. While Nami is undoubtedly the one that took her down, she's not the sole reason she went down. And it's not like anybody ever said Ulti was, the equivalent of like king or queen. So, keep that in perspective. I think that then we really have to discuss the idea of, can Nami ever get upgraded? Because, and some of you at this point are probably going to go, well, okay, but she still has had major accomplishments. Why wouldn't you pick like Usopp or Chopper? Simple. Chopper is a tank. When he's not actively helping saving anybody, he is a tank with that monster form. And even without it, he's still a pretty good bruiser using his various martial arts forms. And then Usopp has really progressed quite a lot in terms of becoming a talented sniper, inventor. The plants he uses give him great abilities. And then there's the fact that he started to awaken a haki, which maybe Nami has. The last upgrade on her list potentially is that Jinbei maybe makes a reference to her having it. When she's beating up Luffy after they all go over the waterfall to get out of Wano, he says that her anger looks like Conqueror's haki. I think that was supposed to be a joke, but I'm not discounting the possibility that she could be the third member of the crew that would have it. But unless that becomes like a major thing, let's roll with the idea that it was a joke. And with that in mind, how can we upgrade her abilities? There's two upgrades for her that I think are most important. One is that you give her a devil fruit. Now, of all the devil fruits out there, the one that would undoubtedly have been the best one to see would have been the Thunder Funder fruit. She would have been, even in Oda's own words, unstoppable to everyone except Luffy with that fruit. And that's kind of the future that I'd want to see. I plan on doing a video just about what it'd be like if she had that. But even with that aside, if you gave her another fruit with a corresponding ability, like a Weather fruit, like we all speculate that there is, there's still high potential for her. You know, the ability to make her Storm from the X-Men comics, or the guy from the My Hero movie that can control the weather. There aren't a lot of anime characters that immediately come to mind that have that specific ability, so it would still be very strong for her, and would put her on a higher tier than even a good majority of the other Straw Hats. I think, barring that though, because I don't think that's what's going to happen, I think she might get a tech upgrade from Egghead. You know, Egghead Island is filled with technology. The Vegapunks are actually working with them now. So there's a strong possibility that when they leave the island and they're on the way to Elbaf, they could salvage some tech and maybe upgrade her climate attack with Zeus to create whole massive storm level events. I would love to see that. I think that's the more likely course, because I don't think at this point there's any plans to give her a devil fruit. But until she gets some kind of upgrade, she's still going to remain at the bottom of the power rankings for the Straw Hat crew. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and check out my video right here about the worst devil fruits you could possibly end up with in the One Piece universe. And if you feel like supporting the channel more, go ahead and check out my Patreon. I'm looking forward to growing the channel with all of you.